All right. Happy Tuesday, everyone. Let's get into it. Let's fix up the mic. Sweet. All right. So we did have this gold distribution, which I was monitoring. You would have watched yesterday's video if you paid attention. And yeah, you would have seen that I was very skeptical on trading this as a move. We were very slow to get that break of structure. Very, very slow. We got it eventually, but we were leaving behind quite a bit of buy side. As we can see, if we zoom up a little closer, and yeah, there you go. There was also demand left as well below, which is what prevented me from entering. Normally, if there's a little bit of demand at the low, then yes, I will consider taking it because it's just a little bit of demand, and price does like to target that range low, especially with Asia low being intact. But when the demand is this big and takes up like 60% of the range, then price isn't going to push through just so we can hunt that range low. It doesn't really happen. Therefore, yeah, I was very lenient, and rightly so. This is what price did. Came down, respected the demand perfectly, and continued going higher. All right, let's see what it looks like right now. Get rid of all this, clean it up. I think we are bullish now on, oh no, now we're bearish on the hourly. That remains as is. On the 2 hour, however, we are now bullish, with this being the market structure high on the 2. So 2 is now bullish, and then the 4 is still bearish. Yeah, so not a lot has changed. We're just a little bit more bearish in the lower time frame. Could this be potential value supply? Yes. I am willing to look at this as a higher time frame range. Obviously, we have left supply, but we might still come up and create that first tap of the higher time frame distribution, which once again then shows that low time frame distribution being used to create a high time frame distribution. All right. Obviously, I no longer need this demand on the chart. We've still got the supply above. Locally, there's not a whole lot that's of interest to me. We've obviously got this higher time frame distribution, slightly higher time frame. which was what we spoke about to an extent. Confirmed in Asia. We are bearish, so it can play out. Yeah, we'll see if it confirms itself, eh? But other than that, not a whole lot to do for gold just yet. Maybe it completes itself and then it starts climbing back up. And then we get that first deviation, and then later down the track we get the third tap confirmation and flush down. That's possible. We'll see. Let's look at silver. Yeah, not a whole lot more that I can do for gold just yet. Was the 4 hour still bearish? Yes, it was. Okay, let's look at silver. This is all invalid. I'm willing to look at that. The hourly is still bullish because we've just SFP'd the hourly low. And that is now the hourly low. It's not a valid 3 hour low, but it's a valid 2 and a 1 hour low. And other than that, yeah, nothing really. We just got a little bit of supply, a little bit of demand. Well, in fact, not really a little bit of demand. That has been mitigated. The supply is valid though, so we will leave this on the chart for now. yeah, not a whole lot more to do. We're just gonna have to be patient here and see what happens. Let's move on to oil. I know what's happened at oil. We have completed our accumulation. Nice little, almost a 4 RR there. Unfortunately, did not have the opportunity to take this with me because I took it off stream, off camera, if you will. But yeah, I did talk about it once I was in. Yesterday, as a matter of fact, I did. It's explained in yesterday's video. I'm not going to explain it again, but I did put my stop loss to break even. So this was a risk off trade, and we got fairly close to it with that wick. Not close enough, and then we continued our higher time frame expectational order flow. As much as the hourly was bearish, which I did take into consideration, but everything else was bullish, and now we're now back to bullish on the hourly as well. So yeah, it's all of a sudden a bullish pair now. Yeah, let's be a bit patient, see how price develops. Not really rushing to do anything just yet. Thing is, could you have taken this distribution as well? Very counter context, but return to zone's pretty nice, locally speaking. You probably could have. Asia low is range low. I wouldn't really be looking to re-enter now. Very low time frame scalp this would have been. Had you even gotten a clean entry? Maybe, maybe not. Yeah, you could have technically entered here. We have left a little bit of liquidity there, just an FYI. By our risk to reward, not great at all. You wouldn't even be getting it through. So too late time frame. Poor risk to reward. Let's just let price play out a bit more here and see what further developments we might be able to get later during the week. This is allowed to be valid demand. Created nicely on the 2-hour time frame. Boom. Yeah, lovely. And it's probably valid on the lower time frame, and it is. Yeah, so very lovely demand. We will leave this as is. Boom. All right, let's move on to GBP AUD. Well, there you go. You've mitigated this big chunk of supply. Massive chunk. And even this very the more refined area. But just be aware that we are in this, we were in a ranging environment and we've come out of it, and we're just kind of hovering in that deviation area, which is a bit of an awkward area to trade. So I wouldn't really be rushing to trade anything. I would, as a matter of fact, refrain far from it. Context could help you take a distribution locally, but yeah, overall, I would try and refrain from trading in this situation. You've also grabbed extreme liquidity. Yeah, just let price develop a little bit better on GBP AUD. All yeah, I'll keep the ball rolling there. What's the daily saying? Daily is still bullish for now. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, just be patient on this pair and let's see what happens later on. USD JPY slowly moving towards yeah, still bearish, still very much so bearish. Obviously it's in this high time frame distribution model. I wouldn't be putting any emphasis on this anymore. I can see some sort of local topping formation. Maybe even some demand here if it's valid on the low time frame. I will use this. There's enough displacement here for me to use this as demand. That's fine. Just put a little bit less emphasis on it. That's kind of really it. Especially that you're in a fairly bearish environment. Anything else to prep for in this price action? Not really. I will just focus for us to mitigate this higher time frame supply POI. There's no real reason to take any sort of trades in between this demand and this supply. It's just in an awkward spot. So, and there's also no real range development. There's just, yeah, just be patient. Let price continue to climb up and wait for a tap of a supply area. AUD CAD, is it going to respect the demand? That's my question. Still bullish, obviously. I'll be looking for accumulations. I don't like this curvature forming. Here's your height is. Range high, yeah, I don't like this local price action from an accumulation point of view. We're looking for an accumulation point of view, but this leaving behind this sell side liquidity is not what we want. I want a quick move back up and reclaim the range. This just becomes very, very awkward. Yeah, that's been mitigated as well. It's just not good. It's honestly terrible price action. All I can really do here is just wait and see if we can reclaim this range a bit better. It's a great area for an accumulation, but it's just not happening at the moment. Yeah, let's see what happens. I've set my alerts. That is the best I can do for this pair at the moment. We've grabbed the weekly open, which I like. We've pushed through demand, which I actually also like. So then we can really form a better distributive environment here. Still bullish. That's our hourly low, which we have SFP'd. Initially, maybe we get a closure. Maybe. Could this be valid on the 2? It is. Is it valid on the 3? It is. Is it valid on the 4? Let's go through all the time frames. Okay, it's just valid on the 1 to 3 hour. So yeah, we'll see if we can get a closure here. Not a lot, not much else to do here from this price action. Not really ranging. There's no, yeah. It's just going to be important how we close. If we fail to SFP again, maybe we could later catch an accumulation down here, potentially. But ideally we close, so then we close bearish, then we can continue mitigating these demand POIs, and then by the time we come back up, we've mitigated every single demand POI there was, or at least the crucial ones. If we can go into EQ, that would be ideal. If we can mitigate this one, potentially retrace temporarily, come back down, mitigate this, and then around EQ start slowly climbing back up because there's no more demand for us to mitigate. Sweep the highs once more, and then boom, we can then flash down and complete the model. That's obviously ideal scenario, so we'll see if that happens. Let's look at NZDCAD. Obviously failed to go bearish with that SFP. I failed to go bullish, sorry, with that SFP. Don't think this is going to be valid supply if I zoom in, unless we get some sort of overlapping. No. Not really, to be honest. There's no real clean supply. There's maybe some supply here, but it would be obviously very minute, and it is. You're not going to get the cleanest reaction of this supply, but you might get a little bounce locally. Boom. Other than that, well, this hasn't. Yeah, other than that, this sentiment looks a lot more bearish to us now that most of these time frames are bearish. But yeah, as you can see, locally, not a whole lot to work off. There just isn't. Some liquidity here. I have a feeling this might get taken out. Yeah, in terms of NZD CAD, we just got to be patient. Not a whole lot to do here. We'll move this a little bit closer. Euro GBP. I think we're still bullish. Yes. Yes, we are. We're bullish, but there's no price action for me to really draw from. And that's the thing, guys, with a lot of these models, you just have to really practice patience. Like, best example has been last week. We've taken 2 trades. Two trades, one of them was profitable, and that resulted in a profitable week. So you don't have to overcomplicate it. Trading's a very, very simple game, but you just have to practice patience and practice discipline. Combine those two and you're pretty much good to go. Your strategy should be the easiest thing. Like, see, we're building somewhat of liquidity below, but we're overall bullish, so it's like this could be arranged later down the track. Although there's a bit of liquidity to grab as well above. And then in terms of this, has this been grabbed? Not the cleanest supply POI. It's made of quite a bit of buy side liquidity, so I wouldn't be using this as supply. Well, yeah, unfortunately for Euro GBP, not really. I'm just kind of charting this just so I can get the alerts. Also so I can get the alerts later on to see which direction price decides to go, but not really because it's going to be a range that I want to trade. If that makes sense, yeah. That's pretty much it. Like, it's more so just for me to check back later on and see how prices panned out. Other than that, nothing really changed for Euro GBP. I think the daily's still bearish. Yeah. Yep. Still bearish on the daily here, that's fine. Still bullish on the hourly. On the 4 hour, sorry, and we might still be bullish on the hourly. We are still bullish on the hourly. Or if we are still... This is similar to the other pair we looked at earlier where you look like you're gonna form an accumulation, and then when you deviate the range, you just start leaving all this sell side when you're moving back up, which is just awful price action. Like, this sucks. This is terrible price action. That is not what you want. You want a quick move back and buy side liquidity being formed when you're in an accumulation, not sell side. Yes, the range high is the Asia high, but like this price action is just ass. Just ass. Not a whole lot more I can give you guys than just ass price action. not a whole lot more for me to do here. Yeah, this just does look terrible, but let's see how price develops for the sake of the exercise. That's really it, guys. A little bit of demand there, showcasing the continuation of our uptrend. It might not be valid, or we'll find out. Well, it is leaving behind sell side, and it's not valid overlapping, so no demand. Boom. Yeah, just not a whole lot to do at the moment. We will leave this as is. I'm convinced though this could be it. I'm convinced we'll have one clean model. You know, this could actually be it because we're already in a confirmed distribution, and I can already see a distribution here with a potentially already confirmed third tap. This actually looks quite good. Asia low hasn't been swept. Positive. Very, very much positive. I'm trying to see if there's any clean demand. This 10-minute OBIF, but it might not be valid, so we're obviously going to go straight to the 1 minute here. Yeah, so when a demand block looks like this, that's not valid. This is not valid demand. It's all been mitigated. We don't need to use this as demand. So to answer your questions, as of now, I'm not seeing many things wrong with this. It's a valid price action. It's a valid range. We've grabbed the extreme liquidity. We've probably even broken structure somewhere, potentially. Or maybe not. Maybe not. There's no real entry on the 3 minute, nothing on the 2. The only entry would have been here. Where we initially SFP'd it. And then we've obviously left behind somewhat of buy-side liquidity curve. The only other thing I don't like is that we spend a bit too much time outside of this deviation area. Like we've just kept going higher and higher. But then we've reclaimed it fairly strongly. To be completely honest, we just don't have a real clean return to zone, which is why I'm not looking to trade this. But I will happily trade this from a Model 1 perspective if we get a return to zone. So I will put my alerts. And if we can come up, create Model 1, leave behind a nice return to zone, then that is a potentially tradable model for me. But at the moment, you can see that when you zoomed in, there's no real return to zone going on here at all. Like, pretty much at all. Definitely want to monitor. If you're watching this in time, by the time this is uploaded, I'll definitely be checking this. Obviously, you'd be if you're watching this and not skipping through, you'd be not only from the moment I've uploaded it, but you'd probably be like 38 minutes in. So who knows what's happened 38 minutes since you started watching this video, post me uploading it. It's just not convincing for me enough to enter right now. Yes, we broke it. It's a confirmed model, technically speaking, but it's very dodgy. Not that many confluences, no return to zone. It's an aggressive move up. It's not even on a session open. We've come down on the session open, and we've just randomly pumped back up. That's not a manipulative move. Yeah, I don't have enough reasons to enter this, so I'm going to wait and see. Maybe we can enter a Model 1 later in the evening. Otherwise, yeah, we'll move this to the top for now, but I would not be rushing to enter. Okay, let's move on. Yeah. And then everything else was still the correct market sentiment, I believe. So yeah, still bearish. That's fine. Okay. AUD CHF. We've mitigated this supply. And yeah, this is our infamous, incredibly bullish pair. Not too keen on the range. Not a whole lot to do. Honestly, not a whole lot to do here. You're bullish, so look for pullback POIs. No real pullback POIs just yet. Yeah, let's just be patient and see what happens. Where is the weekly high, out of curiosity? Well, the weekly high may have just been broken, I believe. Well, we're in the process of breaking the weekly high. Okay. I'll tell you what, if we don't break this weekly high, look for distributions. Plain and simple. Look for distributions. SFP that shit. Short that shit. If we fail to break this weekly high, at least locally, you'll get a pullback. But obviously, yeah, we gotta wait till next week. So let's see. Okay, AUD USD seems to be still bullish locally, still bearish lower time frames. Yeah, that looks correct to me. Unfortunately, not a whole lot to work from. There just isn't. There just isn't. The only thing I'm looking at is this potentially being an accumulation. It's just too dragged out, isn't it? Yeah. See, and like when you start doing this, this is when you know the price action is just terrible and you're just trying to force models. You should not have to force models. It should come cleaner. You should like spend 2-3 seconds looking at a chart and then you already see a potential model and then you can go into detail. But if you're trying to do what I'm trying to do now, go in, like I'm catching myself doing it on camera, going down each individual time frame and trying to pull an accumulation or a distribution model out of absolute thin air. That's when you know price action is just not doing what you want it to do. So don't try force it, just wait for it to naturally come. Yeah, not a whole lot to do. That's it. That's really it. Let's move on. USD CAD, where is my, okay, still bearish. Looks like it, yep. Yeah, still bearish. Same thing, we've just discussed that nothing of interest. Euro NZD. Well, we've broken through supply. We're obviously now bullish on the hourly quite clearly. Maybe even on the 4 hour potentially. No, still bearish on the 4, still bearish on the daily. So it is that awkward sort of price action that we've seen many times before. This is valid demand. See if we can get a pullback from it. Yeah, that's fine. Clean. See, that's what I mean. It might not be valid, but I can already see distributive price action occur. And I'd notice that straight away. That's how it should be. If you immediately notice certain price action, or it takes you just a little bit of time to notice it, and then most likely it's potentially a fairly clean model. Obviously, the environment seems somewhat bullish at the moment. We'll obviously make our mind and confirm it, but it's definitely clean return to zone. So yeah, bullish on the hourly, that remains as is. No rebuttals there, but we're still bearish on the 4. We'd obviously still be bearish on daily, and we would still be bullish on the weekly. So honestly, I'm happy to, yeah, we've grabbed, oh no, we haven't grabbed this high, sorry. I'm happy to grab a distribution. Is there anything valid here is my question. Okay, definitely not valid supply. That's quite easy to spot. Yeah, it's kind of just a bit of liquidity, and that's really it. That's honestly it. Doesn't necessarily mean that we have to go all the way up and grab it, but it is liquidity. But yeah, like so far that this this return to zone is very, very clean. And this kind of is trading out of however many pairs we got here, like 10, 12, 13 pairs. You'll have one, maybe two confirmations, or not confirmation, but like really good looking models. Maybe out of the two, one might confirm, or maybe none will confirm. So if you look at enough pairs, to an extent, like you don't want to be looking at 300 pairs, but you'll get some potential setups. That should be Asia low. Okay. You see, as much as I don't want to say it, I highly favor a Model 1 here because we've left behind liquidity, plain and simple. I highly favor a Model 1. Return to zone, fairly clean. Yeah, if we can get a Model 1, this would be perfect. No guarantee, of course, but otherwise, this is my extreme liquidity POI. Yeah, it hasn't grabbed anything. So we kind of have two POIs here, as you can see, but let's see if we come back up. We might not, this once again, this might never confirm, we might continue going down. But yeah, this is our sentiment, which remains as is. Yeah, let's see, we might get something here on GJ. We'll move this, we'll move this to the top. It's by far our cleanest pair of the day. And then GBP NZD tends to sometimes give me similar price action, and not always. Keyword, not always. And today definitely seems to be a not always day. Okay, still bullish. And we're now bullish on the hourly as well. So, you know what, let me put on a little bit of fabric, eh? That's been mitigated. You know what, let me look at that on the 1 minute. Yep, it's not valid demand. And yeah, on GBP NZD, not really a whole lot to do. Let price do its thing. And that is it for today, ladies and gents. That's all I got for you. Yeah. Gold kind of monitoring this, which looks like it might complete itself if you did take this in Asia. Silver, I don't expect much from this just yet, and then oil we've already discussed. GBP JPY is my main interest for this evening, so we'll see what happens. As I said, we might never get the confirmation. Price might just go all the way down. Even if it grabs Asia low, if it grabs Asia low, I'm a lot less enticed to trade this, as opposed to if it doesn't and starts moving up, then perfect. But if it grabs Asia low, I'm a very high chance, unless the most perfect return to zone starts being created, I'm most likely not going to trade this. And then the only other model which is not even half as good was this USD CHF price action, where I am looking for a Model 1 because I don't like the conditions of this confirm Model 2, no return to zone. Context is fairly neutral. There's still a bit of supply above, so yeah, I wouldn't really be looking to trade this. And that's it for today, guys. Thank you for listening, for viewing. Subscribe if you have made it this far, and I'll catch you all later. Oos.